Guys, this is our last show that we have before football is officially started.
Bullshit. This is officially started. We have football on Thursday night. This is the first football show of the year, in my mind.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm saying it hasn't happened yet, Gov. But by the time you guys see us again, there will be an actual football game being played or have already played. I am stoked. I really am. And I have to mention off the top because Gov was not excited, but I've been asking for this for a long time. DraftKings finally has SUPFLEX, which means there is a contest selection where you can have two quarterbacks in a lineup.
It's on DraftKings. I just don't see the use of it. We already don't usually pay up for quarterback. Now I got to play two. That's just another flex. That's going to be another.
But I love it because
it's just end up going to be in another wide receiver.
I'm paying up for two cheap quarterbacks. Is what I'm doing.
I mean, to be fair, like you could go with two cheap value quarterbacks that you know are going to give you the 15 to 20 point floor.
Yep.
And then you get the high end receiver next to him.
Yeah, and that allows you
get Baker and Sam Howell or something.
Well, for example, I'm going Jordan Love and Richardson.
See, Richardson has rushing upside. I actually like doing like a.
Yeah, I do like that.
See, that's where I like that going Richardson with another cheap guy like Howell or that stack. Like I could see you doing that, or even like if you think the game's going to go off, that is where you could do like dueling quarterbacks.
But I almost like that you don't like it, Go, because I feel like
I just don't think like it doesn't add any extra. Like I said, like I'm not trying to play quarterback. So in my mind, and I've looked at how the lineups are built. Yeah. They took away a wide receiver to add a SUPFLEX.
They did.
And then there's no defense.
There's no defense.
So in my mind, the lineups are going to end up being kind of similar minus the defense.
Maybe that's what I want to see, Go, because I like it because we all know that defense is very variant based. So you're getting rid of a very variant base and you're plugging in more floor with the quarterbacks. Now, I've been wanting it because I just think it's an easy way for DraftKings. FanDuel has already done it, to be transparent, with college. And I just thought it was an interesting way for DraftKings to add in more of a process play and just more of a different way to attack slates. And anytime something like this is new, I'm interested because I feel like a lot of people will make mistakes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my thing is I think it's a big ask, a very, very big ask to find the two middle tier to low end quarterbacks that go off that week. And there probably isn't going to be two every week.
Maybe not, but week one, I think especially week one, you guys tell me if I'm wrong because, I mean, this show is as
much. September, I think the strategy goes off, but once it gets December,
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about attacking something that's new that the casuals don't know. Like the professional players, they adjust very quickly. Like look at how successful best ball is, and it's only been out for 3 years. Like sooner or later, people figure out projections, they figure out the best optimals, stuff like that. But I do think there is a short amount of time where you can really attack a new philosophy. And I value that. And I'll be honest, I value it because we're streaming this show, we're trying to get viewers. And if I put this in the title and it's a new game mode and people are looking for any kind of content around it, bingo. We could talk about this for 5 minutes or 5 hours, and I got it in the headline. So if it gets us an extra 20 views, it was successful. That's going to happen too.
Also, I just want to let you guys know we have no time constraint. Everything's good.
Everything's
nice.
Good. It's always good when you can relax and know that you got some time, because we do have a lot that we could do, and I wanted to keep this open almost as a free agency period where it's like we can take this show wherever we want to take it. Saturday, we're definitely going to finalize a bunch of lineups. To be fully transparent, I won a bunch of achievement crowns on DraftKings for golf. So I'm playing a higher volume in week 1 than I normally do. So we have a lot of lineups that we can just have fun with. And I think there's a lot of fun ways to build. But also, Gov, just the last point to wrap on the new game mode. I also think that you should play it in week 1 because think about how long the pricing has been out for this slate. And now they're just now dropping the 2 quarterback. Even if you don't want to play 2 quarterbacks and you want to play it totally different and you play an extra running back, I just think that because the pricing is different if you haven't looked. So the
yeah, I know.
So if everyone's used to a certain level of pricing on the classic main slate, they're going to go in there thinking I can just plug X, Y, Z.
Okay, so like Baker Mayfield's more expensive than the 4,900 or whatever it is.
Quarterbacks are more expensive. Skill position players are basically like $500 cheaper.
Okay. That's just going to make me want to build a lineup of mostly wide receivers and not play 2 quarterbacks anyway.
Exactly, Gov. Maybe that's not plus EV like 10 weeks from now, like Donnie's saying. But playing with the variants right now, I think it would be kind of cool. So if you guys just want to talk about pillars that we're going to build for Saturday, if you actually want to build lineup, like I said, I just want this to be a fun, I want this almost to feel like a Christmas Eve. Like we know what's about to happen. We're all ready for that.
Oh yeah, we know. We're going to get to Saturday. We're going to have our I like the idea. We're going to have a slightly later Saturday night.
Yep.
We're going to talk our slate, get our bets, build as many lineups as we feel like we want to on that night.
Here's the thing. My family tradition is always you get one gift Christmas Eve to open. And I feel like that's what this Thursday Night Football is. This is our one, cheap gift to open going into the weekend. I think we need to use the Thursday Night Football. We never do a showdown on live with all 3 of us. I feel like this is where we go and prosper.
Oh, we definitely need to build a showdown lineup.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. I'm saying
I don't want to do any Sunday, to be honest.
All right, that's fine. We don't have to build a Sunday lineup. I'm fine with that.
That's fair enough.
There's too much going on. I've been looking all showdown lately for this past week.
Yeah, I'm still trying to number down my captains, to be honest. Like the Kelsey news is what's going to that's basically what I'm waiting on now.
Yeah. Because I don't want to be biased because it is my team. If people don't know, I am a Lions fan. I think I'm a pretty unbiased fan, but I want you guys to break down the headlines.
I was going to actually ask you specifically, if you, as a Lions fan, you've looked, their depth chart, okay.
Yep.
Who's 2, 3, 4 at wide receiver in that order? We know Amon-Ra's number 1.
Honestly, they love Gibbs. And
no, I know, and he's probably going to get targets as a running back, but I want to know the 2nd and 3rd wide receiver. Who's your other outside guy, or who's going to be the 2 outside guys when Amon-Ra's in the slot?
I really think they're going to unicorn it, though. Really, they're going to use, I think, Gibbs and Montgomery a lot on the field at the same time. They tried to do that with Swift last year, and Swift just pissed off Campbell a lot. They tried to do the Jamal Williams Swift in the slot, and that pissed off Dan Campbell. And I think,
I don't think he's going to let the rookie piss him off. Like that would be my thought. It's like, yeah. I don't expect them to run like a completely different offense than they did last year. So if they were trying that stuff last year, Gibbs may get those chances.
Yeah. And
that being said, even that, that being said, that's not a significant portion of their offense running that all like no. They're going to still run 2 wide receivers, and that's what I need to know. I legitimately do not know who they're going to route. Is it Marvin Jones Jr.? Is it Khalif Raymond? Is it Josh Reynolds? I legitimately do not know who their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th wide receiver are. In what order? I do not know. I know they're going to use Laporta. They look like they like him. I know they're going to move Gibbs around and use him. And we know Amon-Ra's the number 1, but I legitimately don't know what Detroit's doing outside of Amon-Ra.
Okay. So
legitimately,
I can tell you that Jared Goff likes Reynolds, right?
Yeah, but I've seen it was Jones Reynolds.
The guy that Campbell really likes, and Campbell, I think before the season was quoted saying, "I didn't know if this guy was any good. We brought him in to be a special teamer, and every time we tried to take him off the field, he made big plays." And that is Khalif Raymond. And every time Campbell tried to demote him, bring in Reynolds for Goff or the emergence of St. Brown, Khalif Raymond would just outwork everyone, is basically what he said. I will tell you, there is a guy that we drafted in the 7th round named Anton Green, who caught a 75-yard reception for a touchdown. Really impressed preseason-wise. So if you need a $200 player, not saying it's smart, because I don't think you need it in this slate, but he would be my $200 total dart throw.
See, and I'm looking at like Khalif Raymond.
Yeah. That's what I'd recommend. I'm just saying, if you had to go under 1,000, I would.
Well, no, I think Khalif Raymond is $200.
Is he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Khalif Raymond legitimately has a shot at being the number 2 to number 3 receiver. Okay, so it's a little over 200. But, like, if he legitimately has a shot at, like, let's say it's not Reynolds. Let's say it's Marvin Jones and Khalif Raymond are your 2-3.
Yeah.
That's a smash play in my book.
I think it is. And Donnie, who was that young rookie that the Patriots liked a lot that everyone was like hyping up? Douglas, right? Basically, they did the same thing with Khalif Raymond in Detroit. They were talking him up practice after practice, these joint practices, but we didn't see him in the preseason because Dan Campbell didn't play any starters. He didn't play Jared Goff, didn't play Marvin Jones. I think we might have seen Khalif Raymond maybe a handful of times. So he did get that starter treatment. So there's that.
So he's the 4th guy, but they're going to substitute a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds like we know Amon-Ra is going to be on the field, and from what, like, I trust Logan on his team. So, like, Amon-Ra is going to be on the field, and we know they move him around. They put him in the slot. They'll put him anywhere. We expect that they're going to use Gibbs a lot, and they may even go dual running backs to keep Gibbs on the field. That being said, in the normal formation, that means there's at least one more wide receiver on the field at all times, if not 2. And, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they just did a complete committee between Marvin Jones, Khalif Raymond, and Josh
Jones
Reynolds.
is older.
Yeah, Jones is older. Khalif Raymond,
they're going to rotate. They're going to rotate.
It wouldn't surprise me if they rotated those 3 until Jameson came back and proved that he could be the legitimate number 2.
At $800, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Khalif Raymond at $800 is a good shot to me. Noah Gray, like, unless Kelsey's out, I don't know if $2,400 for Noah Gray. Now, it's still probably a good, like, cheaper play that can work, but I'm not sure if I'm thrilled with him being, like, basically just a little less than the kickers. When I need, like, if I'm going touchdown or bust guy, I'd rather pay $1,000 or less for the dude.
And not that we want this to happen, but it's like if Donnie was in the hospital, right, because he was in a car accident, we would all hope he could recover. But if we go to the hospital, we got to expect it to be kind of mangled and a disaster, an accidental situation. And that's how I would view the Kelsey thing. It's even if he plays, we know he's going to be banged up. So I will have one Gray lineup with the idea that he goes out there and tries to play on the knee. He has like 5 snaps and decides, I can't do this at a professional level. And
it's a hyperextended knee. I don't think it's going to keep him out for long term.
No, but
if he doesn't play, it's just this game he misses.
I was about to say, if he misses a week, it's a week. Yeah.
I think they should just keep him out personally. It's week 1. In the grand scheme of things, who really cares that much?
I promise you this is not a Lions take. The reason I agree with you, Donnie, is because this is not an AFC game, right? And we know the AFC is a lot tougher than the NFC. So you want him healthy for the Chargers. You want him healthy for a Sean Payton, showdown in case he turns Russ and that Denver Broncos team around,
Yeah.
That's why I would do it.
I would keep him out for that same scenario. And the Lions without Kelsey, they could still handle them. Even with Kelsey, I'm not sure they win. But, I mean, it's going to be a dogfight either way, I'm sure. if that's the case, maybe Kelsey moves the needle. I'm going to take the gamble that they can win without him.
Now, Gov, all jokes aside, me and you built a lot of showdown games together. We've watched showdown games. I know one of your favorite things to do is to target that green zone tight end, that guy that you know he's going to get targeted around the fun area of the field. Brock Wright would be the cheap touchdown maker guy, because obviously Clay Freeman would come off in the tight situations, in the goal line, the bootleg kind of situations, which Jared Goff does like to do with the play action, bootleg kind of stuff. So Brock Wright would be the pure touchdown dart throw.
Can you do me a favor and go to the Chiefs tight ends on the slate?
Yeah. I don't believe they have Forkson left on this team, but they have Noah Gray, and then I think they have a rookie election.
They had a third tight end, and I don't know if it's the same guy as last year or
by the depth here. Hold on. Blake Bell, that's who it is. I'm trying to think.
Okay, yes, Blake Bell.
Forkson is on the team, but on the IR, so I was wrong about that.
So Blake Bell and Noah Gray fight for backup snaps. Yeah. We know this. Blake Bell does have a history of throwing the football. Noah Gray has a history of taking direct snaps, both at the goal line.
I didn't know he was that cheap.
Yeah. See, now, Blake Bell could get you a passing touchdown. Noah Gray could get you a rushing touchdown. I think they're more likely to hand it to Noah Gray in that situation, but Andy Reid likes to get fancy.
He does.
And who knows? Maybe Blake Bell throws a touchdown to Noah Gray.
Honestly, Gov,
I expect one of those tight ends to get a quarterback snap in the red zone.
You might be right, because
I don't. I would fight back on that. I haven't seen them do that.
They did it last year 4 times. It's week 1.
Are we sure we're not mixing up a direct snap to the tight end with the Mahomes gets the ball and just immediately pitches forward to the...
No, I'm 100% sure I saw a Noah Gray 1-yard touchdown where Mahomes walked away from the snap talking, and Noah Gray ran it in.
Okay, so that sounds like a one-time every 5 years kind of play.
It does not, because it's Andy Reid.
No. It is because it's Andy Reid. No one coach in the league would try that stupid shit.
Travis Kelce's thrown 3 touchdowns.
The only reason they try some of that stuff, and Travis Kelce throwing 3 touchdowns is just him saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this." I 100%.
Andy Reid hates him for it, and he still calls it.
You think he's just going to let another player do that kind of stuff?
Yes, because he's Andy Reid.
It's not what he did in Philly. This is just because he has that fun team. It's kind of why he probably got rid of Tyreek. He's like, I can't have all of this around me. Kelsey's already going to do a bunch of shit I don't like. I just don't see it. He's got Mahomes, who at least is able to rein in all this stuff.
They are at the inside the 5-yard line.
I agree with you that play is in their playbook.
It is not in their playbook.
Are they going to use it week 1? No. That's something they randomly use in week 14 because no one's expecting it.
If Kelsey is out, I 100% expect it.
If Kelsey's out, I 100% expect Kansas City to lose this game by more than a touchdown.
Which is a great bet because they're 7-point. But we'll get into spread next time.
Yeah, we'll look more at the spread later this week. But I legitimately would say that if Kelsey is out, I think Detroit can easily win this game because I don't know if as good as Mahomes is, he will have he will have the epitome of nothing around him.
If Tony and Kelsey are out too, oh gosh.
I don't care if Tony's in. He's proven to be unhealthy, and I have to Tony is one of these guys that has to prove to me that he's actually any good. Because I've heard a lot about him I heard a lot about him in the Giants. I didn't really see the flashes that everyone was they said they saw while he was on the field.
That's fair.
He wasn't injured. I never actually saw the flashes.
Was he ever on the field not injured?
1 or 2 games, and people said, oh, well, in those games, he actually looked pretty good. He looked like he did, and then he gets hurt again. It's I didn't see him look pretty good with the Giants.
To me, he looks like a starting receiver in the NFL. I mean,
like maybe, but so does Juju, and his knee might explode.
Which is a wild report we'll get into, but yeah,
that's my thing. Like, I have to see Tony. Like, Tony has to prove to me he can play just like Sky Moore has to prove to me he's any good. So, like, as far as I'm sure,
which I think Rice is a good play because he's a big target.
Rice at least is a rookie, but like if you go to non-rookies, like
Sky Moore, listen,
Sky Moore has to prove it to me year 2, and Tony, like, yeah. Like, I just don't see it. Like, it's hard for me.
God,
it really is.
It's this man right here. And Double J hit on it as well. They're going to have trouble moving the ball without Kelsey. That's an obvious, right? Now it's up to us to figure out who that is. What's the process? And I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I really do not care if obviously I want to be right? But don't play it obvious. With this kind of news, embrace it. Embrace the volatility and have fun and try out a Richie James from the Giants who won on a big Thursday night game.
I'm sorry.
I was about to say, I just don't. No.
I'm going Rice much quicker than
I do. What I'm saying though is don't play it safe and go kicker or defense over Kelsey.
I really do not see a problem playing kicker in showdown.
No, if that's part of your strategy, I'm fine with that. I'm saying if you think like, oh, well, Kelsey's not in, so I'm playing the more conservative route now, I think that's the mistake. So, like, if you had a lineup that was basically offensive, and to Double J's point, if you're like, now Kansas City's going to have trouble moving the ball, I'm just going to play the defenses and kickers, I think that's the wrong mistake. If that's already, baked into your belief of how the game goes, like we talked about last show with your storylines and building a story, then fine, if that's how you want to tell the story. But I think if you think that the Kansas City Chiefs are still going to put up points, you're believing in Patrick Mahomes. So if you believe in
Which is very fair, and he's earned that respect.
Right. So if you believe in Patrick Mahomes, you think he's going to give it to, a Rich James or a Rice, which I was begging you guys to take in best ball. You can go back and watch. I mean, I've been high on Rice. So, and like Donnie said, he is the jump ball, the big body receiver. I think that would be the Kelsey, at least green zone replacement. Where his eyes go.
And that's the thing. The Chiefs' tight ends, their backup tight ends, aren't really receiving tight ends. That's not what they're known for. Like, Noah Gray's a good blocker, but
this will be the last point. But I do want to make this point before we get off the Travis Kelsey point. And I would love Double J's opinion even because I know he's a Denver Broncos guy. We've known each other a long time. He's a Denver Broncos guy, so I would like his perspective from a rivals kind of view on this. But this leads into this conversation on Gov. What do you think Travis Kelsey's long-term, what do you think the long-term ramifications are if the injury lasts more than 3 weeks?
Also, I didn't even realize that Kelsey had such a dominant, amazing last year. That's insane.
Yeah, he was crazy.
So I'm not asking you to panic. I'm saying I'm setting in the panic, Gov. It's panic time in Kansas City. We're projecting he's going to be gone for at least 3 weeks, basically like a short-term IR. How do you think that influences fantasy, the Kansas City Chiefs outlook?
I mean, it definitely lowers Kansas City's offensive production. Like, there's no one else you're afraid of.
It doesn't just lower it.
It's sort of like, on the one hand, like, I don't really know how it would go. Like, I don't know how, like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
For all we know, Mahomes is an absolute god, and he's one of those guys that it doesn't matter his receivers. To be honest, we've seen quarterbacks turn crap receivers into 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard guys.
Yeah, I feel like Mahomes is that level great.
Okay, then nothing's going to happen. And what's going to happen is you're going to realize that you either overpaid for Travis Kelsey or you don't need him, which I don't think is true, which means we're going to see that Mahomes is not this invincible quarterback, that they're going to have a horrible receiving core and offense. He's not just going to be able to will them down the field. And Kansas City is probably going to have a bad stretch. And then Kelsey comes back and they'll try to dig their way out. Because
I'm not saying
have him and Kelsey, they have an offense that can do shit.
But like Kelsey, I think makes them the ability to be that offense that can score 50 points every night. As to where, without Kelsey, I still think they can average, a solid 25 points per game. Which is low for them, but, that's NFL average. And when you have no one around them, like, it's literally your best receiver would be Kadarius Toney on the field. I feel like that states how good Mahomes would be in that point.
Let me circle back to Double J's point here. I got it on the screen, so there's no point in reading it, but he basically said he would build as if the Lions are going to win that game without Kelsey. I think, Gov, you were making that point as well, so if you want to speak on that more.
He's saying he would build with him in whether Kelsey plays or not, just because there's so many dupes with Kansas City winning lineups.
Yeah.
So it's just you're going to not dupe so much.
Right. So I kind of feel like an asshole. I got to be but almost like I told you when you did the best ball that I thought Kelsey was going to have a down year. I don't want to victory lap yet, but these are the kind of warning signs that get you nervous. And I remember, when Kobe got hurt, he was having a really good year and hurt his Achilles, and people hadn't seen the dip in Kobe, and so they're like, well, we know it's going to happen, but we don't know when. So we're just going to keep paying for him until it happens. And then one big bad injury with the Achilles, and Kobe was done, never came back, never was the same. So I just don't want that to be Kelsey. I don't want it to be injury related. I would rather him drop the ball, move away, go to a different team than have this Jimmy Graham moment, 10 years from now and come back to the Kansas City Chiefs for one retirement year. I just hope it's not injury plagued, deletion type season.
See, my thing is, and this is exactly why we avoided him in fantasy. Well, one of the reasons I would have never taken Kelsey because I can't take someone off a career year like this, especially at that age. I can never bring myself to think somebody can duplicate something like that.
And I'm not praising. Kelsey has beaten me many, many times. I know there were times last year where I was too headstrong. If I had listened to Double J, who was in the chats with us, breaking down Showdown, another good Showdown smart guy like Gov. If I had listened to those two gentlemen, I would probably be a lot richer to this day. But I just don't like to bet on people where their expectations are so high, and that's Kelsey. So if we're going to build this as Kelsey doesn't play, this was my lineup as soon as I heard the news.
See, I would build it as Kelsey does play as of right now.
I would too.
Okay.
I do not change my lineups until I officially hear Travis Kelsey is not playing.
Interesting.
Agreed. I would assume in for someone like him until I either we still have 2 days. I may hear something tomorrow that makes me think that he's not going to play on Thursday, and then I'll start changing. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything that's not he couldn't still play Thursday.
Yeah, hyperextended knee. People play much worse.
It's not like he hyperextended the knee on Wednesday or the day of the game. He will have time to rest and treat it before.
He's a couple painkillers away from playing.
They said he's going through an MRI process basically today, and he's doubtful. Is what the analysis says on DraftKings.
Well, they said the ACL seems.
I have never listened to anything on the DraftKings news.
Yeah,
it comes from RotoWire, which I'm sorry, I'll put it out there. I don't trust their news guys. I honestly don't. I would rather find a random dude on Twitter. Probably has a better and more info.
I don't either, but this one came from Tom Pasicaro of the NFL Network, who I do respect quite a bit. So,
NFL Network has rap sheets. I don't know. I don't trust them a lot either.
Yeah.
Like there's like I don't trust certain network. Just because you work for NFL Network doesn't mean anything to me.
I agree with that because I'm not a silver guy.
There's guys at ESPN I don't think have very good info. It's like there's specific guys I listen to. I listen to Shefty. They're like I listen to certain beat writers for the teams.
Yeah.
Like there's guys I listen to, not entities.
Well, for example, like I can't stand to watch Dan Orlovsky on ESPN, but anything Mina Kimes I will consume. So it really is person to person when it comes. But I do get that point.
Yeah, but like I've seen on Twitter, I've seen hyperextended the knee. They're getting an MRI. It happened at the end of practice. So like they may have already done the MRI and they might be looking at it now to see exactly what it is, but they probably know. And it's just you're not going to tell anyone after 5 o'clock at night.
I think if he tries to play, he's not 100%.
He might.
I would play it like we're not going to put him in the lineup because I think he's too expensive anyways. And this news, he was like a 80% fade anyways, given his
There is so many cheap guys that you can play in this game. I am not worried about paying up for Mahomes, Kelsey, and Amon-Ra. Honestly, I'm going to have different lineups without that, 3, but there's so many options you can go. I don't think
Kelsey would be my number one fade, especially the news. I know some people would play contrarian. One last question before we build this lineup. If you guys had some best ball drafts left, if you guys let's say you had some substantial money, like you don't even got to name the amount. Does the balance of this draft meant something to you? It was one that you really wanted to win. Are you trying to leverage the Kelsey news and go and draft him specifically for the dip, kind of like we did with Jonathan Taylor? Do you think like it'd be a bad move, because we do see this with drafts and things of that nature. Do you think it's a good time to believe?
The only way I draft Kelsey is late second, early third. If he's still there, late second, early third.
Fair enough.
And that does not change. I still feel that I felt that way before.
What about the prop market, Gov? So even like Mahomes over passing yards, or do you think another receiver has a really good? Because I know you don't have access to the sportsbook, so I think you can give an unbiased opinion here. Is there any player that sticks out to you in terms of receiving props, or would you still bet Mahomes over passing?
See, I don't know if I'd go Mahomes over passing. I don't know if I trust him. And we were just saying, I don't know which receiver is going to actually do better, if any. What if none of the receivers do good? Then you got to take all the unders.
Then you got to trade. Then you got to trade for one. If none of these receivers are good and they can't even match what Juju gave them last year, then they're trading for one. That's just how it is.
Problem is, the only thing they have to trade is Kelsey and their defense, which means they are saying they're going to
have all their picks still.
No one is going to trade you a top flight wide receiver for a pick. You're going to have to use your pick to go get one.
I don't think it would be a top flight wide receiver, though. Like,
if you, I'm not expecting about going to get. I'm saying they don't have a guy.
A Hollywood Brown.
They're not going to be able to go get Hollywood Brown for their picks. The teams are going to be like, you're going to have to go find that dude in the draft.
Dude, Hollywood Brown is not that good.
He may not be, but he's
still an alpha.
And then there's the whole thing of, is Hollywood Brown any better than Sky Moore? Does it actually make the team better? I'm talking about someone that actually makes the team better. Sky Moore can come out and be Hollywood Brown. That team can still suck.
Yeah.
And not have good passing numbers and all of that. I legitimately think that's a good comparison. That's actually a good name. You saying Hollywood Brown. If the best receiver on their team is Hollywood Brown, they have a shit receiving core and they need to trade for a better receiver. That's what I'm saying.
Hollywood Brown makes it better than what it is right now.
No, I'm saying if Hollywood Brown's their best receiver, that is not good. That is bad.
No, it's not good. I would 100% agree it's not good, but for Mahomes, it is good enough.
They're going into the season expecting Sky Moore and that to be that. With Travis Kelce, and that's what gives them. So if there's no Kelce and their best receiver is basically just a Hollywood Brown, that's the scenario they need to go trade for a receiver because they're not good. That's the scenario I'm talking about. If you think they're going to go trade for a guy, you're thinking go out and trade for Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown doesn't help this team. They've already got a Hollywood Brown. They need a better receiver than that.
If Sky Moore isn't ready to be that.
If Sky Moore is just that, they need better receiver. That's my point.
I agree, but come on. I don't expect him to even be that. I don't expect Sky Moore to be close to that.
Okay, then you would say that they need to go trade for a receiver right now. Because even with Kelsey, they have
one showed up right now, but you have to go to week 8. You have to wait till the trade deadline. We all know the price dips at the trade deadline.
They need to go and if they think they need it, they need to go and get it now so he can get a rapport with Mahomes and work with that team. They need to know now that their receiving core with Kelsey isn't going to do anything. They clearly think that the guys they got are going to be able to put up. But I've seen what that offense needs. It doesn't need a Tyreek, but it needs an actual good number 2. Like, at least Juju was efficient when he had some time.
Right.
Like, it needs something that Patrick Mahomes can rely on other than Travis Kelsey.
Unironically, a name that pops in my head, Jacoby Myers would be a half decent name for him. Like,
no,
obviously that's
they need a legitimate actual threat. The lowest end name I can think of would be DeAndre Hopkins.
That's low on DeAndre.
The lowest.
You're low on
no. Okay, maybe I am low on him, but think about this. I'm saying they need a really top end wide receiver.
I disagree.
The lowest one I know is DeAndre Hopkins because he's not as good as Devontae Adams. He's not as good as, in my mind, as Amon-Ra. He's not as good as Garrett Wilson. He's not up there with Jefferson, Chase, Hill, Kupp. Like, you need one of those guys.
I disagree.
The lowest one you can get is Hopkins, and he was on the market and you didn't go get him.
I'm somewhere.
You need someone at that level or better. Any other receiver doesn't help that team.
Yeah, I would 100% disagree with that.
I'm somewhere in the middle on you guys, but I do agree. Like, Hollywood Brown would be too expensive for what they'd have to go up.
And they'd need more than what Hollywood Brown gives.
Yeah,
I don't know how expensive Hollywood Brown would be. I don't think he'd fetch much more than a second.
He's probably going to fetch what you got for DJ Moore.
No.
Like, I would put him on that level.
Yeah,
they're probably equal. They're not the same kind of receiver, but they're probably
literally
equal.
think max Hollywood Brown's worth a second-round pick.
That might be true. And that's all DJ Moore was really worth. We traded DJ Moore and like 3 first-round picks to get to move up and then the end of the second pick that we got. We basically traded 2 firsts, a second, and DJ Moore to move up in the first and get a second. So we basically traded DJ Moore for a second, and then we traded 3 firsts to move up.
Right. I think it would be a second and some auxiliary pieces.
Yeah, it would definitely be a second plus something crazy.
Yeah, plus some mid-round swaps,
a second and a fifth or something like that. A second and a fourth next year. Like, I agree it would be like that, and I also agree it probably wouldn't be that much. But that's why I don't think a Brown helps. Yeah. Like, they need to go and get someone. Like, they need to hope that Seattle wants to rebuild and they can go get DK or Lockett.
Well, Lockett would be the one because he's older. He'd be cheaper. Literally Lockett.
And they just got a guy who can most likely be like, that's what I'm looking at. Like, they need an actual.
But if you get a Lockett's only going to fetch I guarantee Lockett would only be like a 4th and late round swaps.
No.
Yes, that's how they trade these receivers nowadays.
He's right. That's probably the value. Like, receivers don't get traded for much. So, like, you could go if a team's willing to give up their guy, you probably wouldn't have to give up much. But the thing Kansas City's missing is one of those guys you don't give up.
Mike Evans might be on the block.
He's probably the second best one. Because I honestly like Mike Evans more than DeAndre Hopkins. But he'll probably be cheaper than Hopkins. So, like, yeah, Mike Evans would actually probably be the cheapest of the top receivers you could go get.
And I told you we were going to go free range here. We were going to just let our passions kind of boil over and talk about what we need, what came to our heart. And I could tell this was a passionate topic, and I do think it's relevant. The reason I said no isn't because you're wrong about the value 1-for-1, Donnie. I'm saying no one wants to help the Super Bowl favorites. So
if Seattle thinks that makes them better for the future, they're doing it.
They're not doing the future, though. They have an 80-year-old coach. Like, I think
who says they're not willing to fire him next year? Maybe he's ready to retire. Maybe he sees they can't win a Super Bowl and he's ready to retire.
People have been saying that for 5 years. The man keeps chewing bubble gum, man.
I know, but listen. he's old as hell. Maybe he dies. Like, unironically, like, that's worst case scenario, but I know you like your worst case. You're crazy out of nowhere thing.
Well, I just think, like, they think they can compete. They thought so when they got Geno. Like, that's an organization that doesn't give up. They're kind of like the Ravens. They're just not going to, like, that preseason record for the Ravens meant.
Oh, I agree, but just because Locke is the guy that comes to mind, that doesn't mean there isn't other names.
Now, I think they already got that guy. I think Rashid Rice is their Juju Smith-Schuster replacement. Like, is the guy that they want. And I think he sees the biggest uptick. Now, let me just circle back to Double J's point, because I don't know if he was here in the beginning when I mentioned that I think the number 2 wide receiver for the Lions will be Gibbs in terms of receptions, in terms of targets. Brad Holmes drafted Gibbs very high. And I think everyone would look at the totality of that draft and say it was good. People didn't like the order, but it's because Brad Holmes literally said he thinks Gibbs could play wide receiver full-time in this league. Is he delusional? Maybe. Is he wrong? Maybe. Is he like trying to hype up a rookie to believe in his talents? Probably. Like whether he actually believes it. But if that's what they're going to try to do, then to Double J's point, then Gibbs is something to look at.
I have Gibbs in 2 of my 3 lineups.
Yeah, I mean, so it's possible. So why don't we go ahead and build the lineup here and just like talk through some of them?
I agree.
Because
we've been 40 minutes talking Chiefs Lions, and we haven't even built the lineup yet.
I do think though the Kelsey thing is the biggest talking.
It's so important. Yeah, no.
So we said all we're going to say about the actual determination of the news. What do we do with that news now in the lineup? I'm a no on Kelsey in the lineup. I think he's too expensive. I think the value is not there given the injury. I'm a no on him.
So wait, hold on, time out. Before the injury, was he in your lineups?
No.
Okay, so that doesn't.
I was gonna build 4 and I was gonna put him in 1. He hadn't made my initial like dummy lineup, my placeholder. He was gonna make one of the 4 just in case.
If Kelsey plays a full game healthy, he's getting at least 10 targets.
But what I'm saying though, Donnie, is I don't think he's healthy. So.
But you didn't before that. You didn't think he was healthy when he didn't play preseason, really?
No, I'm saying I would have played him in 1 lineup, but now with the injury, like I would have faded him at 80%. I would have played him on the 1-off just in case something fluky happens. I don't think he's a good play because he's went from in all my lineups to only 1 probably with the injury news. And I would have played it exactly the opposite. I would have put him in 1 even if he was healthy. So, Gov, what do you want to do? Are you because it sounds like me and Donnie are kind of split here. He's a play Kelsey. I'm a fade Kelsey.
I'm fine with fading him right now because of the injury.
What about you, Gov? What are you thinking?
The same thing I've been thinking. It's let's see. It's basically the line between you guys, but it's both extremes.
Okay.
I'm either not playing Kelsey or he's the captain.
Oh, I can't captain him. I'm going to have to. I can't.
If you guys cannot agree to captain him, then you're not playing him.
Not at that price. I can't. No.
See, there's enough cheap guys. I can make it all fit.
Like I agree. We can make it all
it's
fit.
It's not a problem making it fit. But my thought is because of that price, I'm either going to captain him because he's going to have a Kelsey game, and you're probably going to need him at captain.
If he's out there, he's a decoy and gets like 7.
Or maybe he's that, and you don't want him at all, and he just that's my thought. I'm either captaining him or I'm not playing him at all.
See, that's why
I still will play him, but I will probably have some Kelsey captain.
See, that's why I wasn't going to play him at all, though, Gov. And I don't blame you if you want to captain him because I agree with that philosophy.
He'll probably be one of the highest owned captains unless he's out.
The reason
I have a different captain that I really want to be our captain.
Who's that?
I want to captain Pacheco. If Kelsey's not playing, I want Pacheco.
No.
Like that's actually a pretty contrarian captain. I'm not against it, but it's not like one of my favorites.
If there's no Kelsey,
They're playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
They are not playing Clyde.
they are
Edwards.
not playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
They've shown they darn not playing him.
They are.
They hate that guy.
Yeah, they are
I'm
not playing
surprised
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Like they're gonna play Pacheco and McKinnon.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you, they're playing
They
both of them.
love McKinnon.
I'm making sure I'm not wrong here. I heard that Clyde was going to play a good amount in this game. Yeah,
I'm going to need some sourcing on that one.
they're basically not playing him in the preseason, and the idea that he is going to play some.
No. He played in the preseason. They just didn't give him any work. They didn't play McKinnon, and they only played Pacheco a little. Like, don't get it wrong. You see that? I see what you're reading. You're reading the stupid NFL.com stuff where it says he only got one carry and that. He was on the field for like 35% of this. He was on the field for like a whole quarter. They played him in the preseason.
I know. I'm telling you, this is not the report. I mean, I just pulled it up because it's not visual. I'm telling you, I heard that he's ahead of McKinnon. You don't believe that, Pichu?
100%. He's not the pass catching back. He has not been. You can't be ahead of McKinnon for third down work. No one's ahead of McKinnon for third down.
There's an
Pacheco's
article,
not ahead of McKinnon for third down work.
There's an article out of Kansas City newspaper, Arrowhead Pride, that says Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be traded soon.
Yes, I've seen that. Like, they don't want him. They want to get rid of him and do something else. They realize they fucked up on that first round pick on him a couple years ago.
They would trade him. I just think he's ahead of McKinnon.
No, McKinnon is clearly the number 2 because he's the third down back, and they clearly want to give Pacheco the work. So unless he's beating out Pacheco for the starting work, which preseason would say he's not. Mahomes talk would say he's not.
He used to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Like he's one of those guys. Like, yeah, you can play him as the cheap guy at the end of the lineup, but like he's not the starting back. You need to treat him like you're playing Blake Bell. Like, that's touchdown or bust if he randomly gets it.
I'm okay playing Pacheco, but not at captain because I think it's too risky.
I don't think it's risky at all. I think he's going to get at least touch the ball at least 13 times on Thursday.
That's not enough for your captain.
No, but I'm saying at least. That's bare minimum.
If he gets 13,
I'm expecting 30 touches between rushing and receiving work, especially if no Kelsey.
I don't know if it's that high. They don't use the running back that much. That's where it's weird.
I'm okay playing Pacheco. I just don't want to captain him. You want your captain?
I'm fine with not captaining him, but
like my captain needs to be someone who can get me 15 to 20 easily. Well, maybe not easily, but can get me 15 to 20. Probably 2 touchdowns to do that. Like, and is going to be one of the top 4 or 5 scorers on the slate.
I think Pacheco is going to have 2 touchdowns.
I'm looking at another guy I think would have 2 touchdowns.
Who's that?
Right below Pacheco. Because I think Detroit's going to run the same offense they did last year. So Gibbs is going to be the Swift role, but Montgomery might get all the goal line work. I could see Montgomery.
I'm expecting Montgomery to get all the goal line work.
I could see him being 8 carries, 30 yards, 2 touchdowns. And that I would captain. Even if Gibbs then got like 9 targets.
But to say that, you're saying they're moving the ball and getting in the red zone.
Right. Which is, again, I would be building for Detroit winning. So if they're winning, they're moving the ball, they're getting in the red zone. And they showed last year they were willing to go through their running backs and use Amon-Ra when necessary. So, like, that's probably what I do. I would probably, like, captain Montgomery, be different by playing both running backs. I might play, I could see fading Goff and just playing Montgomery, Gibbs, and St. Brown.
Okay. Can we do this? Because we're not agreeing.
I want both quarterbacks.
We're not agreeing on captain, and also, can we start with flex and see?
Yeah, let's start flex.
Sure.
For captain.
I don't know if I want to play both quarterbacks. I can see starting that way.
In there. Start off putting Mahomes in there.
Put Mahomes in the flex.
Okay, so but I will say they're projecting 51 points right now.
You just switched over to captain.
I did. But they are projecting 51.5 points, I believe.
I want him on right there. Do you guys all want Amon-Ra in there?
I'm fine with Amon-Ra in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Like if that's probably my favorite Detroit guy to play. And
Okay.
yeah.
I would say Sam Laporta is my favorite Detroit guy to play.
I have to see what he does. Like, I'm thinking about what they can actually do. I know St. Brown's role in the offense and his ability to produce.
He's cheaper than Rice, so that's my point, and he's going to be on the field.
Now, we need to decide, do we want both running backs in here? Do we want Pacheco? Do we want Montgomery? Do we want Gibbs instead of Montgomery? Like,
I would go Gibbs because it's a pass catch, because it's DraftKings and it's PPR.
I would lean Gibbs over Montgomery as well, but I see Gov's point of view.
You want to give Gov this one and go Montgomery?
Especially with being the rookie.
I'm okay with giving him benefit of the doubt. I'm not a huge fan of rookie running backs. I think I made that clear.
Gibbs could get used. He could also not really produce with his usage.
We're not,
but he could still be efficient enough for them to move the ball downfield with Amon-Ra and get touchdowns.
Champs at Arrowhead.
We're playing this as Kelsey's, fading Kelsey, so we're playing Rice, right?
I would rather have Sky Moore.
If we're playing Mahomes, we have to play a Kansas City receiver at least.
Yeah. I'd rather have Moore over Rice myself.
I'm fine with Sky Moore. I mean, they're like the same price. I go through this debate in every lineup I make with this showdown. Because it always seems to be one of those two that I need to play.
See, this lineup says that we play Jared Goff to me because we got St. Brown. And I don't think you would see very many Goff and Montgomery lineups. I think most people would go Goff and Gibbs. So if we went Goff and Montgomery, we're being different, but also still likely because Montgomery has softer hands than he gets credit for. He has a lot better hands than Jamal Williams. I think people are plugging in the Jamal Williams role, but he has better hands than Williams.
True, and they might use him a little more. The offense
Williams is a better rusher, in my opinion, but
I hear that too. But Montgomery's a upgrade to Williams.
I'm not a high Montgomery fan. I do not love Montgomery. I know he has value. I know he does a lot. Not my type of running back.
Okay, so if we plugged Goff in there, it would give us 6,600
for a captain, which is not good.
So we're not really good because
we're not doing well.
We can't get Rice. We couldn't get Laporta. We couldn't even get up to
honestly,
at that price.
The only person that with any kind of correlation would be the captain, the Detroit kicker. But I don't like doing that either.
I don't like doing that either.
I do not like doing that.
Now, we could, to be honest, this line, well, I was about to say, we want Amon-Ra. What do you...
Yeah, I think, the guy we all three love is Amon-Ra. So what if we put him at captain?
I would have leaned Mahomes captain over him. I have an Amon-Ra captain lineup as well. So I'm not mad at it, but
yeah, I know what my problem is.
What?
I don't want to play Goff. And if you put Amon-Ra captain, we kind of need to play Goff. But if we left him in the flex, we could have played Gibbs at captain, said it all goes through the run game except for a couple of checkdowns, and Goff doesn't get touchdowns or points.
I'm fine with that.
And then we could just play a cheap guy in the 36, 40, 100 range as the last guy in.
So I actually like that as a different lineup.
Yeah, you still get Mahomes, Sky Moore. You get both running backs and Amon-Ra.
If we did that, wouldn't it make more sense to captain Montgomery?
I mean, it depends on what we'd want to put in the lineup. We could always flip it. But
if we're saying Montgomery's getting touchdowns, then yeah, we'd captain Montgomery.
You're saying running back for Detroit, Goff doesn't get points. Montgomery's more likely to get the rushing touchdown than Gibbs.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably the way to go. Do that and then put in Amon-Ra. Because there will still be some passing, he just won't get touchdowns. So it's if Goff just throws for 250 with no touchdowns, I don't need his 12 points.
Then we go Rice, right?
Yeah, now you have the money. You could go Rice. You could go See, I'm not sure if I want to double tap Mahomes and not put him at captain. This is where I might go like a kicker and leave money on the table to get different. Something else. Or
I'm playing
even
Butker in one of my lineups as well already.
See, I would say with this,
I like kickers in showdowns.
like
I would say-
4,700. Like I'm trying to see who's in that range. I have it up to 4,700. So like,
okay, but
yeah, like I could go Butker. I could go one of the kickers. Rice isn't a bad move though.
So we're playing. but
You
we're playing
you
that-
could like this is where like if you wanted to get different,
Mhm.
you could just play your dart throw guy and leave 2-3K on the table, and you're probably gonna have like not only is your construction different because you don't have both quarterbacks and you have like Montgomery at captain, so you have a much different captain. You've got a good different construction where like you went cheap captain, but you didn't jam in both quarterbacks, and then you could still play one of the cheap guys, leave some money on the table, and be fine. But like, or you could play like Butker Rice, you could play more Butker, you could play both. Like to be honest, we could play both wide receivers. It could work.
Yeah,
Let's take a time.
Mahomes doesn't have a spectacular game, or at least like
interception.
it's just he maybe has interceptions, maybe it's something like Sky Moore gets targets, but Rice gets the touchdown, and they lose to a multiple touchdown Detroit game. Like I could see the scenario where that works.
If we're telling ourselves the story that Kelsey does not play in this lineup, right?
Yeah.
That's your best red zone target, and we do not know who the red zone target's going to be. To me, that makes me lean kicker more.
Yeah, like I think that they might stall in the red zone more, so that could mean
I don't ever play kicker, so I will give you the kicker
as
long as you let me choose between Rice and Moore.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that, dude, because I'm on coin flip for that anyway.
So that means we're playing Butker Rice is basically what that means. I'm fine with that.
Rice.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lot higher on Rice. I mean, I remember.
Then we have correlation for Kansas City, but not correlation that's going to have them scoring a whole bunch of points. So we can still have all the touchdowns and that go through Detroit.
And we still get a point every time they score a touchdown.
And are we really saying anything with this lineup that couldn't be true? Goff kind of sucks and doesn't have a great game, but Detroit still beats Kansas City because they have great skill players, and Mahomes has no one except
no red zone target.
No red zone target, and he has to kick.
We built this lineup together, and
Montgomery could have 20 points. Everyone else, Mahomes could have 20 points. Everyone else could have 15.
Right. Could you guys do me a favor? Could you pull up one of your personal lineups for a showdown? Because I do think it'd be interesting. Because now we built this lineup together. If we showed the people one of our lineups that we built separate, because I just want to show people the difference. I'm going to submit this lineup, and I'll show you one that I built that I really like.
I have one. Honestly, I have one that's very close to that. What we just built.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll share my
I can't show my screen, but I can send a screenshot to the Discord.
That works. I can get yours at the end.
You can see what I've built so far. My one showdown that I built and my 3 shots I've taken.
I'm looking for mine now. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I got mine up if you want to call it. This is my showdown lineup.
Yeah,
Just the first one I built. This was basically my placeholder lineup.
Yeah, why don't you tell people why you did that?
Well, basically, this is saying that Goff does have a good game, and it doesn't go through. It's basically the same lineup, same thought, but it doesn't go through the running backs. Like it doesn't go through Montgomery. Gibbs is actually the real deal. He does everything, and then it's Goff and Laporta. And then you still have Mahomes, Sky Moore, Butker. So it's sort of the same thing. Kansas City can't get in the red zone, can't score. They're kicking, but him and Sky Moore are still able to click. But then Goff is able to use Gibbs, get down the field. He looks like a good rookie. You hit Laporta maybe for a cheap touchdown. This one's basically saying the Detroit youth is better than Kansas City without Kelsey.
Donnie,
that's sort of the story in this one. And I leave money on the table, so it shouldn't be highly duped. Donnie, but I do have both quarterbacks, which is
It's interesting. I like both quarterbacks because they provide such a consistent.
It does provide a really good floor, but normally, if you look, the quarterbacks are do tend to be two of the top 5 or 6 scoring guys on a slate. But I don't know. I feel like if there's a quarterback that wouldn't be that, it would be Goff. And that's because I trust the running backs to actually take that offensive production. I feel like Gibbs and Montgomery could have big days.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not so sure that if McKinnon has a big day, Mahomes probably still does well.
Right.
Same thing with Pacheco in my mind.
But, Danny, which one of these do you want to put your money behind? Number 1 or 2?
Are between ours and this one?
No, but the 2 you sent me. The 2 you put in.
Oh. See,
if I could post 5 lineups and tell you that I have the nuts.
They're both very similar. I'm feeling more comfortable with the Amon-Ra captain one.
Okay. Now, before we get to yours, what kind of bedtime story do you think Gov's telling with this lineup, and do you like the story he's trying to tell you before he puts you to sleep, Johnny? Because I like it. Because, well, to me, this lineup says Detroit's behind, actually. They're throwing to Gibbs. They're treating Gibbs like the theoretic. He's going to get like a ton of fourth quarter dump off kind of angle route, catch up kind of Jared Goff. Because Jared does love to dump off the running backs to catch up. Like he will just take the underneath if they're behind. So that initially as a fan just strikes me. And then he does like Laporta in the red zone. So like this strikes me as the Detroit's down needs to come back in the second half. And that's where Gov's going to catch people. And I think you leaving so much money on the table. Like anytime you leave about 1,000, especially for the casuals in a showdown, you're going to be different. And this lineup will be different just because of how much money you have.
I think the floor on my lineup is good.
Yeah.
And I think I'm different. So all I need, really all my lineup needs is a ceiling game from Gibbs.
Yeah.
And a ceiling game from one of Sky Moore or Laporta.
And really, you're not that unique. Like, I don't mean
truthfully, like I said, like I'm playing both. I agree. I'm playing both quarterbacks. I'm going to have a kicker in my lineup. There's going to be a lot of lineups that look like this, but those lineups are going to turn Laporta into Montgomery. Yeah. They're going to turn Sky Moore into Pacheco. Well, they're going to turn Butker into Rice and double stack. Like they're going to have different players than what I have. I don't think my combo is probably a little different.
Yeah.
But because of my salary leaving.
It's your combination, because what people are going to do is they're going to say, oh, I have 1,500 left. Let me just put Mahomes at captain,
Or more likely, someone might build this lineup, but they'll turn Laporta and Butker into min-priced guy and Amon-Ra. Or something like that.
Or they'll say, like, I like the idea of a Detroit running back. Let me get the cheaper Montgomery and again put a safer guy in the captain.
Yeah.
Because
there will be a lot of different variations. I think people are going to be on this sort of build.
Yeah.
But like you said, like they're not going to leave the money. They're not going to have the exact same combo, which is why I'm trying to build stuff just like this, but without Goff, because I think only having one quarterback is the other thing I need to get different.
Fair point. Donnie,
I play tournaments. Like I'm not playing cash games where I just want to have the good floor lineup. I want to try to solo win a showdown. And like Double J was saying earlier, to not have dupes, I'm going to play through the Detroit side winning because not as many people are going to do that. I'm going to try to fade Kelsey. I'm going to probably try to fade one of, if Kelsey's out, I have to fade one of Amon-Ra or Mahomes. And more often than not, I'm going to be fading Amon-Ra and playing like the running backs from Detroit. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be playing Amon-Ra with Raymond and Laporta and Goff in every lineup.
Donnie, I kind of like that showing down makes you uncomfortable and you're not as familiar with the duplicate kind of scare off that some people have or the intimidation. So if you were to look at this lineup, would you agree? Because I think it's true. Most people look at how much money Gov has left and they automatically assume it's a mistake because people just human nature. We want to spend all the money we got. Is that where your mind goes to? Because I think it goes on the right track. But as a new guy who hasn't built a ton of Showdown, would you ever leave this much money?
I would, if I genuinely believe the game's going to go the way I predict. I mean, the salary and stuff doesn't matter to me. All that matters to me is I feel like I'm getting a lineup that I feel like can win.
I'm glad we taught you that, because a lot of youngsters, and I don't even mean like young as Donnie's young. I just mean a lot of beginners that look at Showdown or casually play it will look at salary so much. So I'm really, really glad that you took that away from the process, Donnie. Because really what it is I actually like this better, but the Bucker is like $2,000 cheaper than Montgomery, for example. But I think there's a good chance that Bucker actually outscores Montgomery.
There is if Montgomery doesn't get touchdowns, it's entirely possible Bucker outscores him.
And that's exactly what you're playing.
And I could turn Bucker into Montgomery in my lineup right now.
And let's be honest.
Or almost.
That's what I'm saying, almost. But
I'd have to go down to Rashee Rice from Sky Moore or whatever.
But this lineup says that Gibbs is going to get more rushing than most people are projecting him to get, right?
Yeah, in my lineup, like I said, this lineup I built first basically says, I think it's going to be all through Gibbs. I think they're going to use him.
Right.
But then I think Goff is going to hit all his rookies. That's why I have him in Laporta. To be fair, like this is probably a lineup where Butker should be the Detroit kicker. Or Sky Moore should be like...
I don't trust the Detroit kicker. That's the issue.
Exactly. Which one is it? It's Patterson or is it Badgley?
It's Riley.
It's Riley?
Okay. We brought Badgley back on the practice squad with the idea that we might play him later in the year, but Riley's going to get the first draft.
If Riley doesn't work out, then Badgley gets in there.
So, Donnie, which one did you want me to read off here to the people?
Monra captain. You could show it to the screen. I mean, unless there's something that's not supposed to be there. I don't think so.
No. I'm just saving more time for efficiency reasons because I don't want the show to go on forever. So it's St. Brown, Mahomes, Jared Goff, Scantling, Rice, Reynolds.
I brought it up.
Oh, you got it. Thanks. Because then I didn't have to transfer my screen as well.
Yep, you're good. I got it up on.
This is the only lineup I have that does not have Butker.
I like it. Here's what I would. I think if you're going to play
total shootout, you're basically saying we get a shootout, multiple touchdowns from both quarterbacks to multiple people.
Do you like?
Except maybe Amon-Ra, who's a.
This is the only lineup I have built like that.
Do you like Scantling?
I like him as a deep threat for Mahomes. I think Mahomes will use him right.
I would tell you to play Cleve Raymond and then get up from Scantling, is what I would tell you.
See, I wasn't on Khalif Raymond, but after the show,
maybe you go from Reynolds to Raymond, use that 2K, turn Scantling into one of the running backs, into Pacheco, into.
It would be Pacheco for me.
Because they could both get 0. I'm going to be honest with you. Reynolds and Khalif could both get 0, but I think there's a higher likelihood that Khalif would get points over Reynolds. I think Reynolds needs a touchdown, where Khalif is the kick returner. So if Detroit gets a kick return, it could be him that returns kicks. It will be him and Alexander most likely returning kicks for us. So and Reynolds really isn't a deep ball guy. Like, he's more the safety valve. So if you're playing upside, I would definitely go Khalif.
Yeah, see, like I said, I was not on Khalif at all, but after the show, that's the whole point of this. I'm going to reevaluate my process after the Kelsey news.
Right.
Reynolds is going to be up.
And I want this to be known. I'm saying both of them could easily get 0. I just think the higher upside play in this lineup would be Khalif, because I think what you can do with the extra money from Scantling.
Oh, yeah. To turn it into a running back is
it's a lot safer.
It's a lot safer, and I think it has a chance of being much higher I have a lineup with McKinnon in it right now.
And I might say the same thing about Rice if we knew Kelsey was playing, but I think without Kelsey, Rice is almost a lot given his price.
Yeah.
I have a very different lineup. that's why I didn't want to. So thanks for that because that really helped out. So I
Yeah.
can easily transition back.
Before the Kelsey news, I had a one lineup that was full Kansas City, basically.
Yep.
Then I had a shootout. Then I had a Detroit friendly one.
Now, Donnie, I don't know if you'll want to, but we sometimes watch the games live in the NFL chat that I sent you a few weeks ago. So we could get some live sweat reactions, and then even like considering recording some of those reactions during the game and bringing people on the podcast. I think there's a lot of fun stuff that even our viewers should be able to do. Like enjoy this game with a friend, a family member. Like enjoy football being back. I think this would be a good game to watch. Just to close.
This should be a fun game.
Yeah, just to close up shop. That's how I build my lineups. When I build a showdown lineup, I'm usually putting in both quarterbacks. I want to watch a fireworks show. I want to watch a fun game. So you can ask Go if he's seen plenty of my builds. I build for that fun upside game.
Yeah. See, for showdowns, that's what I'm probably going to do. But Sunday slates, man, I like paying up for my defenses and seeing the defense go to work. I love defense. So
yeah.
But my showdowns and everything, that's what my strategy completely changes. And maybe that's why I don't like showdowns and it makes me so uncomfortable.
But I want to bring up something that you guys didn't mention that, like, I mentioned fun, but I do have some reasons to play Mahomes at captain.
I don't have a problem with Mahomes captain.
I know most people probably won't, but the reason I like it so much is because without Kelsey, I think we see a higher rushing upside from Mahomes.
We definitely have potential of a Super Bowl running 54 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Now, does he turn it into rushing yards is the question.
If he's ruled out, I will play a Mahomes over rushing yard prop because I just think he will have to scramble more. He'll be looking for those inexperienced wide receivers more, holding on to the ball longer, which will lend itself to a more scrambling quarterback. That's why I went Mahomes. I think it's an underrated part of his game. I like Sam Laporta. I honestly think Sam Laporta if you would have viewed him as a wide receiver, I think he would have went very high in the draft. I'm pretty much high in almost all the tight end rookies this year, whether it be a Mayer or whether it be Luke Musgrave, Laporta. Like I love all the tight ends. I think we're seeing a changing of the guard in NFL style when it comes to offenses respecting the tight end a lot more than had been previously thought. Like getting tight ends the ball more creatively, and Laporta speaks to that perfectly.
See, to me, Mahomes is the fifth best rushing quarterback in the NFL. And that's with a very good top 5 rushing quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
So to say he has rushing upside is such an understatement. If there's no Kelsey, literally no weapons, basically, he's gonna have to. If they want to win, he's gonna have to run. Like I said, though, the only thing I'm worried about is Mahomes rushing wise could literally be like it was against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, and he's just running around and getting you no fantasy points because he's running around and chucking it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I did think about going Bell, just playing totally different. You know, if Kelsey doesn't play, one of the tight ends is going to get playing that. People will think it's Noah Gray. If you go Bell and you tuck out a Rice, you could get up almost. I didn't know if it was possible because I'm bad at math, especially live on stream. I was going to try to play Tony here, so I think that would be my like galaxy brain try to do. If we knew Kelsey was out, maybe try to get to Tony. Whoever I thought was going to miss this game.
I think if you're trying to say galaxy brain in a strategy, you need to calm yourself down. I don't think Bell's a bad play. If Kelsey's out and you don't want to play Noah Gray, I think Bell's a good play. He's going to see the field. The Chiefs use 2 tight ends.
If I'm almost on board with that. If Kelsey misses, play the 200 guy, not the 4,000 guy. It's almost the same thing as the Reynolds versus Cleve Raymond argument. It's like if we don't know which guy it is, just play the really cheap guy with higher upside.
But the thing is, the only difference is I've seen Noah Gray get red zone targets.
Gov, tell me
that's what that's the tiebreaker for me. I know Noah Gray has some touchdown upside. I cannot say the same about Blake Bell.
Gov, tell me if I'm wrong though. You don't need anything from a $200 tight end, basically. Like you could even take a 0 as long as the rest of you guys do well.
Okay, you can't take a 0. We need because everyone will give you a 0. But at $200, he literally can give you anything that's not a 0, and he's a net positive.
He's a net positive. But
anything. 0.8. 1 half yard, like 1 catch for it's a full PPR. 1 catch for -2 yards, and he gets 0.8. He is a net positive fantasy-wise at $200. It doesn't take much, but he does need to do something. But there's been times where you win a showdown with that stupid cheap guy that no one else is playing who just happened to get 4 points.
Blake Bell could have a touchdown this game, legitimately. If Kelsey doesn't play,
if he just has one 20-yard, oh my God, kind of play, he can be optimal.
Right, but then you have the ability to get a touchdown too. I mean,
yes. No, yeah,
they use 2 tight ends a lot, and with a lackluster
there
receiving
will be a lot of opening up of because Noah Gray will become chalk, I think, as a cheap guy if Kelsey is efficient.
I know it's probably a stupid reason, and we've talked about it, but we all have our reasons for playing certain guys. And Noah Gray, being from where I grew up, makes me have to put him in if he's the starting tight end. At least one line.
I bet this last night because I got a booster, and with the news, it's such a relief for me because I got the Lions at +6.5 with Kelsey potentially being out. I think they could win this game outright. And
now your Mahomes over 274 is no Kelsey. Does he throw for 275 yards?
But I actually like that better though, Gov, because if I don't get there,
although the rest of your bets would say he needs to play from behind and he should throw for them.
Right. So that's what I was just going to say. I actually like it better because it's either he's going to miss that mark by a lot and that bet's just dead and I lose, or he's going to have to throw to a Scantling who has the chance of breaking an 80-yard touchdown a lot more likely than Kelsey does, or they're behind in that game, which probably is a lot less likely if Kelsey plays.
All right. I think we're starting to round around to the same thing. So I think it might be a good time to close up shop.
No, I just wanted to show that a sports version, a betting version of what we believe this game could be.
Oh, yeah. Because we'll be back with all of our, flash them right now.
I'm going to miss
flash the over-under. You're in DraftKings. You can show us
I can show you
flash the NFL slate real quick because we're gonna do our show and we're gonna start it next week with our over-under picks against each other. I believe we're gonna have just like
I forget who won last year. Yeah, I forget who won.
Too. But just like last year, we'll have one consensus pick between the three of us. That's our show pick. We will have the show pick, and then we will each have another pick against each other. We won't overlap. Someone else takes the pick. Take a different one.
I think
Gov pick against it.
Or pick against it.
I thought Gov won. I thought Gov won.
I did win because of all of my ties and pushes because you all
you had a bunch of ties and pushes. I had a great start.
TV of the push.
Speaking of showdown in the Chiefs, so I did win the showdown. I did win the last showdown competition. All three of us built a showdown, and we competed against each other in the Super Bowl. I won that. So, Donnie, you haven't, I believe, won anything. So maybe this season-long projection is going to be your thing. We have all kinds of things. Rainmaker, season-long projections. We have Evan's season-long projections. We have our bets.
Listen.
Saturday show is going to be so much fun. I want to save some energy for that. I want to thank you guys for joining us. One last thing. Is 53.5 points too many points? Or is that just right personally? Good old Thursday night football. Give people like your closeout.
Yeah, I like a good high total game. That's going to be great.
I don't mind that. 53.5, it sounds about right. I mean, what's that lead us to? About 30, 34, 28.
I will say that Kelsey News has influenced the spread. I got the lines at 6.5, plus 6.5. It's down to +5.
I think that's crazy to be at +5 when Kelsey's possibly out. Yeah, that should be down to about 3, 4.5, 3.
It's still high, but I'm saying I got it at 6.5 last night, right before we.
Oh, it was at 7 when it opened.
Yeah, it was. So I'm not even gonna have you guys pick a winner. I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to do that. I'm
not picking a winner because I need to see. Honestly, I'm so out of it. I don't even know what to expect from the Lions. I don't know what to expect from the Chiefs. I'm just excited to see some damn football.
Look at this. We don't care who wins the damn game. We care about our lineups and our bets, and that's what we give you guys. We want all the stuff to happen. We want Mahomes to have the ball. We want Jared Goff to have the ball. We want to see rookie performances. Go give the people the ugly play of the night. The guy that no one's going to want to see out there that's going to catch something, that's going to do something stupid, that might make you excited or piss you off. Who's that?
Oh, they're going to give the ball one play to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's going to get hit by Aiden Hutchinson, fumble, and they're going to run it back for a touchdown. With Mahomes with his hand in his head.
I'm going to be happy because I will stand on this. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets 10+ yards.
Okay. Yards, maybe. Not point, not fantasy point. Yards.
Yards.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair because they have McKinnon at
if he gets 12 19. Yards, he might pay off his price. Oh, my God.
I will probably play him, maybe, potentially. Donnie, what's your kind of like either piss you off or excite you, no one sees coming play from Thursday?
It was the same player. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire doing anything positive.
Anything?
Anything positive.
Would that piss you off or excite you?
I can't get mad at somebody doing their job well. As much as Clyde Edwards-Helaire has done nothing wrong as a human that I know of.
I'm going to call you out because you're not cheering for Watson or Addison. You made that very clear.
That's what I was getting to that. I said, listen, he's done nothing as a human that makes me,
fair enough.
So if he comes out and has 100-yard games, good job, buddy. You made it. Like, that's how I feel, honestly.
Fair enough. That's been our show. I'm really excited about this. For some reason, our shows usually do best when we're over an hour, so we did stretch it a bit, but that usually gets us the views. Keep watching the show. Keep enjoying it, guys. Thanks for watching. We had the most live viewers tonight as possible, so tune in Saturday. We're going to go a bit later, but it's going to be a fun show. I can't wait. I'm excited for football. Good night.
Night, everyone.
Peace out.